Today we have golf tips with Leah, an accomplished golfer and business professional at the new innovative golf course in Tempe, Arizona, Grass Clipping.
What's kind of one of your favorite drills when you're warming up and just getting going?
So one thing that I do is I start with like the pause drill. So I ensure that the top of my backswing is like at the spot that I want it to be. So I will start like going back up and just like feel the spot that I want, and then I'll swing from there. So it's a slower swing, it gets the body moving and just ensures that, like I said, the top of my backswing is where I want it, because I tend to get long and like over the top. So that's just something that I really focus on, and my swing coach has had me do a lot. It's just to there. Yeah, so that just helped me with the top of my backswing and making sure that the position there was all set so that I could fire and rotate my body through.
Is there anything that helps you with tempo with your hips and your arms?
Just like rotating that left hip around, you're asking?
Yeah.
So one thing is I make sure that my right knee is rotating to my left. It's something that I can do with like a band. Oh. You start with like a comfortable athletic position. This is where you want to do smaller swings. So take it back. Yeah, so it really makes your hips rotate and go towards the target. I used to struggle with my leg going like this way, and obviously that feels super uncomfortable. So this just makes you rotate around.
And then when you're getting started warming up, do you always have the same routine before you go play?
So I start at the driving range, and I start with hitting like 30, 40, 50 yard wedge shots with my 60 degree and then my 56. So I'll start small like this and just get the touch and the feel, and then I'll progress through my clubs.
How many times do you hit your driver before you go play?
I would say like 8 to 12 times.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't want to hit too many so that
You're tired.
yeah. You tire yourself out, but you want to get the speed up.
Do you remember something that had a really big impact on your game?
Yeah. So one thing that my coach wanted me to do was play with like better players. So I was constantly getting uncomfortable to then later feel comfortable playing with those obviously more advanced players. So I had the opportunity of playing with LPGA players like when I was still shooting in the 90s or 80s. So that just really helped me like understand what I need to get better at. So that was important. But when it comes to swing, I would say he really worked on things like one at a time. So we'd start with grip, and then we go into like posture and setup and make sure those little things are proper, so that when I'm hitting like driver and everything, it all adds up, and it just makes sure that I'm doing those little steps before we do something crazy with my swing, like a different swing change.
So breaking it up into pieces, making each piece kind of muscle memory rather than trying to remember 7 things every time you hit the ball.
Exactly, yeah. So we would work on those individual changes at a time, and then eventually they're all going to come together, and you're going to finally realize why you made all of those changes.
Right. What's a tip you have with chipping? Chipping can be really hard for a beginner to just comprehend.
Right. I would say working on your setup, getting closer to the ball So you want to stand a little bit closer and grip down on the club. Instead of, if you're out here, you're so far away from the ball and you have so much room for air. So if you put it back in your stance and have that Y with your arms and grip down on it, then like those small little shots like that will just feel more comfortable.
And that would be good for someone to do when they go to the range.
Okay. I feel like a lot of people have alignment sticks. Yeah. It even helps with chipping. So putting an alignment stick on top of that grip and then having it on the left side of your body if you're right-handed, this keeps that Y shape with your arms. And you want to start small. So you want to start with that chipping motion before you progress to full swing. So it would look like something like this. And it keeps your arms in that position. And then you can progress into like pitching shots, more of the longer shots. So you just want to keep, it forces you to rotate your body through, because if you don't, you get stuck and then it hits you and it breaks down. So if you keep rotating through and clearing your body, then you won't get in the way of the alignment stick.
So you want a little gap between the stick and your body.
Yeah.
You don't want to feel it pushing on you.
No, like if it starts pushing on you, that means you've like flipped your hands or didn't rotate through. With this drill, you turn your club around and you're focusing on the noise that the shaft will make going through the air. So you want to hear, so let me do it to demonstrate. So you want to hear that like whoosh sound out here, because if you hear it back here, that means you put the power on too early.
Ah.
Yeah, so if you go, also it will help you generate club head speed at the ball rather than
at the right
early.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you want to hear the sound kind of
Like
on
on
this
your
side.
left side, yeah.
Yeah.
So it will promote faster club head speed as well.
When you go to hit your driver and you're playing in a tournament, what do you think about?
So I always have the same pre-shot routine. And that's something that I've always had since high school, ever since I started playing, because my coaches made sure for me to set up that pre-shot routine.
Yeah.
I would tee. So I get behind the ball and I find that target. So if I'm going at the palm tree, I'd line up the shaft with the palm tree so I can like set my eye on it. And then I'll take a swing back here and just make sure I'm loose, relaxed, go behind it, and then I'll take 1-2 steps and then line up to it. Take about like 4 seconds and then I fire.
I think that's something with amateurs is you stand in your position for
Too long.
potentially too long.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're standing here for like, and you keep looking and you keep looking, you're naturally gonna get more tense and like start rounding your shoulders. So if you can get here and feel comfortable and like make your mind ready to fire, then you're gonna have better results.
Is there anything that might be helpful for someone who doesn't completely understand that transfer of weight?
So with your hips, you really wanna make sure that left side is like bumping and then rotating through, or else you're gonna get stuck. So if you can engage like your glutes, and that's what everyone talks about is like fire your glutes, that's why it's so important, because you want it to start from your lower body rather than, I see a lot of amateurs just like they want to use their upper body and then your hips get stuck at being square. So if you can get to your backswing and do that pause drill and then get that left hip going, your arms naturally get to a good spot. So if you pause and then you do this, like the ball's gonna slice.
A lot of beginners do that.
Right.
Yeah.
There's women that can be scared to hit the ground. And hitting the ground is how the ball will get into the air. So
you can't completely avoid it.
Right. So you can't avoid. So you really do want to make a noise. You want to like brush the ground. That's what everyone talks about. So if you don't do that and you just swing in the air, you're going to feel not balanced, and then you're gonna top the ball or thin it. So if you feel the ground, as long as you don't feel too much, then the shot gets a lot more compressed because the club is able to work properly.
Right. Sometimes, especially girls, will hit the ground kind of hard and it hurts their hand and their shoulder, to make sure that they don't hold the club as hard.
Right, yeah, so that's really important. You don't want to like grip the club for dear life. That will promote like you to top it, just because you're not like able to release it and get down to the ground. That's the same thing for chipping. If you're like gripping too hard, rather than like light and feeling soft hands. So this is a good demonstration. You want to just have soft hands and brush that ground.
Nice.
If you're hitting balls and you're like topping it or doing something like you're hitting it right or something, then you can step back and feel what you want to feel with your practice swings and like brush the ground, or use a tee to, here, let me show you. If you use a tee rather than a ball, then you can.
Starting to get distance,
right.
But you can't control, like you really struggle to hit it straight.
With, when you start generating speed, I would say like aim starts to become a factor that could cause you to start spraying it, like you said. So if you're aimed so far left, your mind is going to be like, or if you're subconsciously aimed so far left, you're going to start naturally like coming over the top to slice it. Or if you're aimed right, then your brain's going to want to hook it back to the target. So then that's going to start generating, or like start creating you to have side spin.
Right. So make sure you're aiming straight and you're confident with, okay, this is where I'm aiming. Now I just need to be consistent with my body.
Exactly.
And it'll go straight.
Yeah, so working on the range with an alignment stick, or out on the course, making sure like between the tee markers, because the tee markers are not always set to be straight at where you should hit, not always down the fairway. So just don't like forget about the tee markers, get up to the ball, make sure your upper body and lower body are aimed properly, and then swing along that line rather than looking way right and wanting to hit it left, or looking left and wanting to hit it right.
Right, you start trying to, especially when you're in the middle of playing golf, you start trying to band-aid your mistakes and doing weird things.
Yeah, like you start aiming right because you know you're going to go left or something like that.
Don't mess yourself up. Just focus on hitting it straight, line yourself up right, and trust your body.
Just trust your, trust your body, for sure.